4, 5. braving the heat yesterday. I know this was put together the last couple of hours, and I'm glad everyone could make it, especially some of the media that we don't typically get to see, our Latino media. We brought everyone out here today because we've had a spike in a number of incidents in this part of town concerning armed robberies involving Latino members of our community in particular. Captain Tellis is the commander of our Eastway Division. I want to bring him up to speak a little bit about what some of the trend is that we're seeing, more importantly, what it is our community members can do to help us help them protect themselves. Captain Tellis.
Hey, good afternoon. Captain Tory Tellis, first name T-O-R-R-I, last name T-E-L-L-I-S. All right, so this week alone, starting off on Sunday, we saw within a 48-hour period increase in armed robberies from person. And with that, it was targeted in one location, which is our response area 3 of the Eastway Division. That location was the Greenbrier Apartments. It's 2 apartments that's actually mixed together. It's Greenbrier and Till Point Apartments. The targeted victims were majority Latino males in these incidents. So with that time frame, you can say we went from the time of 8 in the evening through Tuesday evening, probably around 8, 9 o'clock, which was the last one we actually saw. And within that time frame, the numbers of the suspect, the information that we have, which is very vague at this particular time, is going to be numbered from 2 suspects to 4 suspects. They were always working either in numbers of 2s or 3 or 4. And that's what you had that was actually taking advantage of the citizens or the victims. All right. Again, I mentioned that it's vague description. As far as car information or auto information that we had, there was limited information. We did have one that explained to us that it was going to be a sedan, a gray type sedan that was actually involved in it. And that was the extent of that. We are investigating it thoroughly at this point. Then the basis of all the opportunities that we've taken on the law enforcement side of it, we've had our division level patrol officers involved, working within those areas. They've been around the clock since then. They've been in the area within that apartment complex, knocking on doors, speaking to people. Our coordinators have reached out to all the community apartment managements within the area, and they've sent out information to help people protect themselves and not be victimized, to alert them of what's been going on. We've also reached out to our partners within the community, such as Latin American Coalition, International House, and Commonwealth High School, specifically Commonwealth High School, because they're directly behind where the location is actually occurring. And from the information that we received, the suspects are actually leaving on foot, running through the cut-throughs which are in those apartment complexes. What we would need from the community standpoint that we're asking for now is for anyone who's actually been involved or been victimized. We don't want you to walk away from this or keep quiet about this if you have been victimized in this. Please call us and make contact with us, give us that information, because we're not interested in your immigrant status. We're interested in the crime. The numbers that we do have are from people who've actually called 911, but there potentially could be a few others or several others that's out there that are intimidated to make that 911 call, and that information would be detrimental to the cases. If you saw anything or heard of anything or had any information that was actually given out or witnessed anything, please call us. Please call us at our Crime Stoppers number, which is 704-334-1600. Again, the number is 704-334-1600. And if you're not sure about calling Crime Stoppers, please feel free to contact us at the Eastway Division. Our response area coordinator, Campos, Officer Jose Campos, is well known throughout the community. If you have his information and know how to get in contact with him, you'll feel more comfortable speaking to him. Please feel free to do so. It is detrimental that we get any information or any leads that we possibly can to bring this to a cease. Officers are working tirelessly around the clock to bring resolve to this and bring these individuals to justice in regards to this.
Where's the area again?
Okay, the area is right where we are located right now. The area is right in the corridor of Central Avenue and North Sharon Avenue. It's the apartment complex directly to the right, which is called Greenbrier Apartments and Till Point Apartments. And as I mentioned earlier, those apartment complexes are adjacent, are joined to each other.
So what's the official count, just in terms of...
Right now we're working with seven reports thus far within that 48-hour period.
And potentially, how many more do you think might be in?
Well, we can't say how many actually more could be. It could be one, it could be none, it could be 10 as far as we know.
And those are mainly robberies, right?
They're all robberies from person, and again, like I mentioned, the victims have been, the targets of these robberies have been Latino males.
Any guns involved?
All of them were included, guns were included in all but one.
Why do you think this particular segment of the community has been targeted?
Well, historically, I mean, the Central Avenue corridor is heavily the immigrant population over here. So, you know, with them not knowing all the laws and everything, which is something that the coordinators and a lot of our officers over here do. They go out to educate. They reach out, try to educate everybody on, you know, what to do with your money, not to carry it around in your pocket, not to, you know, if you're going to go outside and smoke, or if you're going to go outside and just hang out, don't have all these items that are potentially makes a target-rich environment on you for that time frame. So it's about education and you know, being prepared.
Not to wade into politics, but I'm going to wade into politics anyway. I know you guys, down through the years, have done a lot of work to emphasize the fact that you care more about the crime and not the immigration status of somebody. But obviously, you know, in a lot of quarters, that climate has kind of changed. It's a little different now. Do you think that's part of the reason that maybe you guys are seeing this?
Well, again, going back to the comment I just made a few seconds ago, really we're seeing it because people still believe that it's a target-rich environment. I mean, if they feel it's an easy target, then they're going to come. And you know, we've actually done well within the Eastway Division in addressing our robberies. But at times you're going to have them increase. It's going to go up and down. So that's one of the things that we try to get back into the game and stay informing individuals or citizens or our immigrant population on what they need to do not to be a victim, and to know that they can reach out to us and we are accessible to them at all costs.
And Captain, if you'll allow me just to dovetail off that a little bit, and we'll bring the Captain back in just a couple of moments. We've got a community coordinator here who's pretty plugged in our response area 3 out in Eastway Division, Jose Campos. I'd like him to talk a little bit more about that relationship that we work tremendously hard to foster, some of the things he's seeing and hearing out in his particular response area. And I think there's a message that he wants to communicate in Spanish, because we know we've got Latino media, and thank you, Spanish-speaking media, Channel 9 with their partnership now with Telemundo. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't make Jose available to talk directly to our Spanish-speaking community. Jose.
Good afternoon. Yeah, my name is Jose Campos. I'm Community Coordinator in Response Area 3 in the Eastway Division. I want to answer, he asked why the Latino population is a target. It's many reasons. A lot of these people, not only the Latino community, the refugee community, they don't speak English, they don't know the rules, they're afraid of police. So we've been working with the different communities, try to tell people not to be afraid to call police, because when we see call for service, they think that we're going to go and ask for papers, and sometimes officers ask for paper. That means an ID, because it's going to be hard for some officers who don't speak Spanish or the language, like, you know, when you ask for the name and they spell the name, they don't even know how to spell it. So that's why it's easy for the officer to see an ID. And a lot of times people thinking like we asking for immigration papers. So we try to communicate to them like we don't ask for any immigration, we don't work for immigration. We just want to make sure like people is safe. And like the captain says, at least with the Latino community, they carry a lot of cash. They like to be drinking and like areas like a kind of away from the police. So they try to go to different like really dark areas. That's why it's an easy target for them. One of the robberies that happened, the last one, this person was using his phone and he's looking for, I guess, a privacy. So he went to like a really dark area and used his phone. So the two suspects saw this guy, and it's an easy target, so that's why they came and robbed this guy. So another thing, a lot of people in this area use the cat route because they don't want to go all the way around, so it's an easy target because they're waiting on them in these areas. But even you driving in the street, you cannot see this area, so that's why we try to tell people don't walk in these areas. Try to call police when you see something, and if you're a victim, you need to make a report.
Hey, Jose, would you mind communicating that in Spanish to our community, some of the safeguards that they can take to help protect themselves and allow us to protect them?
Buenas tardes, como dije, soy el oficial campus de la policía de Charlotte. Una de las razones que estamos aquí es porque en 48 horas tuvimos 7 robos, todas las víctimas fueron latinos, fueron robados con armas de fuego y los sospechosos trabajaron entre 2 a 4 personas juntas. Algunos robos fueron 2 sospechosos, 3 sospechosos, 4 sospechosos. No tenemos ningún tipo de descripción. La única que tuvimos es un vehículo, pero es un sedán gris. Simplemente es la única que tuvimos. La mayoría de los casos, las víctimas fueron robadas y los sospechosos corrieron hacia los lugares, exactamente fueron los lugares donde se puede cortar camino. Hemos sido asignados a ciertos oficiales para que trabajen específicamente en los apartamentos donde han sucedido los casos. Tenemos oficiales las 24 horas, los 7 días, trabajando, hablando con la gente. Yo como coordinador del área he estado trabajando conjunto con los managers de los apartamentos, con la coalición latina, con la casa latina, para ver si podemos mandar el mensaje a la gente de por favor, eviten andar en lugares donde que no haya luz, en lugares oscuros, en lugares que sean peligrosos, y por favor no manejen grandes cantidades de dinero en efectivo. Cuando estén hablando por teléfono, por favor pongan atención a lo que están haciendo, porque muchas veces cuando la gente habla por teléfono se olvida del lugar donde está y lo único que quiere es privacidad. Le pedimos a la gente que por favor evite esos lugares, y si ven algo sospechoso, que llamen a la policía, que nosotros no vamos a pedir ningún tipo de documento de inmigración. Nosotros no trabajamos con inmigración, eso queremos tenerlo claro y lo ponemos claro. Si algunas veces los oficiales le piden por algún tipo de identificación, es para saber quién es usted a la hora de hacer el reporte.
Officer, when you say that the Latino community likes to have cash in their pockets and they like to drink, it means that the victims were drinking at the moment of the robberies?
Not always, sometimes, but that was an easy target.
In these cases?
In these cases, no. In this case, most of the people is kind of walking in the cat shoes, or
So
using the phone. So that's why, but we're seeing that like a lot of people drinking.
So you think it's a problem with Latino community, the drinking problem?
I guess it's in general, but we see that a lot like in the Latin community.
Officer Campos, can you tell us, do you think, just from what you're hearing out in the community, do people seem to be more worried now about, quote unquote, getting their papers checked as compared to maybe a few years ago?
I guess every time like something happens with immigration, people is afraid, and we always like having that problem, because when something happens with immigration, affect the police directly because people are scared. But we try to tell people, we talk to people and tell them we don't ask for paper, we don't work with immigration, we just try to do the right thing. And if you're a victim of a crime, that's what we're here for.
Thank you, sir. All right, just a couple takeaways, and I'll entertain your questions as well. First and foremost, there's a lot of work going on in Eastwood Division and all over Charlotte in particular, and down in Southwest Charlotte as well, to connect, Latinos in particular. Because anytime we see people being preyed upon, it bothers us. So the reason we're here today is to make sure we give some tips. You've heard a lot of tips about how people can become safer. But also what we want to make sure you don't leave with is the engagement work that's going on to connect. Because ultimately we don't want this to be a situation where people have seen something and they don't trust us enough to let us know. So what we're also doing jointly with all the traditional means of saturating the area, being very visible, is we're connecting with young people and people who have fear of us as a profession. What are your questions?
Chief, you guys have addressed it, and I think it was pretty recently, actually, you guys talked about that, and we've seen the protests against some of this at the sheriff's office. They just don't trust police. They would rather just sit on something that happened to them because they're afraid they're going to be asked for papers. What can be your guarantee?
Here's what I'll say. First of all, I'm not going to paint anybody with a broad brush. I won't say all Latinos are afraid of cops. That's just not true. It's too much work we've done with cops and kids learning Spanish to disprove that. What I will say is, when people are new to this country, they have a higher level of fear, and we do encounter that even in Latinos. So what we're doing is connecting with kids, because kids are the true heart of the parents. They see us connecting with your kids, they have much more trust and confidence in us, and then they can call and give us the information we need. I can tell you, we're one tip away. We do have some leads, but nothing that has materialized to the point of closing cases. But we're close, which is why we're here today.
But in this case, in the 7, you said there's possibly more. What would be your message to those victims? Can you guarantee that papers won't be checked and they won't have that sort of fear?
What I'll tell them is this, what I've always said: it ain't about politics, it's about people. We care about people. I don't care where you're from or what your status is. I care that you're not victimized while you're here in our city. And that's the message I would tell them.
Chief, let me pose kind of the same question I did to Officer Campos. All the work that you guys have been doing in terms of kind of building that trust and all that stuff, do you think all the controversies, from at the border to sort of how the climate has changed, do you think it's kind of eroded some of those efforts?
No,
Okay.
I don't. You guys can make it political for us as people. Victims aren't a political ideology. People are human. So what we're connecting with people on a human level and deeply, and whatever goes on in some other realm, be it political or otherwise, is not going to impact the depth of those relationships. Our problem is we don't have enough of those relationships yet. So on the surface, it can give the perception that we're not making the connections. In truth, I have too many examples that would disprove it. So all I can tell you is what happens nationally does impact us locally. But the work we're doing is not being done in vain. We have a lot of trust because of the work, and some of the people doing the work are here today. I encourage you to talk to them. Is making a difference so that we can gain that trust. We can connect with kids. The parents also trust us, and we can solve some of the cases that we're struggling to because people are much more willing to give us the information.
Chief, we know that he was saying that the language barrier tends to be an issue, even with just spelling names, just simple details. Is there any kind of effort or push to, one, hire more bilingual officers, or two, the bilingual officers of the community or the CMPD has to put them in communities?
Absolutely. There's a very intensive effort to hire more Latinos. But I'll tell you, I don't see it as a barrier because the minute we see you can't communicate, we're going to get a translator involved. So it's not going to be a barrier to communication. My problem with it is the more I can connect with you, the more I can value your culture, the closer we're going to be and the more trust we're going to increase. That's the point of not only recruiting more Latinos, but having more of our people speak Spanish. We're doing both of those.
Is it translator just over the phone, or they come in person?
Both. We have officers who are bilingual, and then we have a translation vendor that goes to the phone.
Just going back to that national dialogue question, in these cases, in these 7 cases, and what you guys are looking at, you guys aren't saying they were targeted because they are Latino, or that you guys don't see evidence of that. Is this more of crime opportunity?
I'll tell you this. I think it's a bit of both as far as the actual victims. I think they're being targeted because the people targeting them have realized that they can use trust against us where it lacks. And again, you want to make it political. I'm talking about the personal element. Really, it's about people being victimized. If these people were Laotian, we'd have the same intensive work that we're doing to solve the crimes. Because what we want people to have confidence in is, regardless of your ethnicity, this police department's here to serve you. Any other questions?
Part
Yes,
of
sir.
the fear from many immigrants is this program, the 287G program,
Yes.
and the new sheriff have promised to eliminate that program. Do you think that after that fear will disappear eventually?
I think that's a question you need to talk to the sheriff-elect about. I'm not going to pontificate and try to extrapolate what might happen. I'm going to tell you we're going to work right now to increase the number of Latinos and Spanish-speaking officers that we have, so that regardless of what happens with that, we can continue to increase the trust in the community that we need to properly police this community. All right, thank you.
Guys, Captain Tellis referenced there were several different incidents that occurred over the last 72 hours. Just shoot us an email to the PIO email address, and we'll shoot those report numbers back out to you so you have a point of reference.
So did all 7 occur in those 2 apartment complexes?
And in there in the whereabouts, right in the smallest, in general area of that area.
And is this at all? I know the other high-profile case a couple weeks or 2 ago was the ice cream owner that had the ice cream. He was beaten and robbed.
Sorry. Say that again?
I was just wondering if this has anything to do with the time dogs. Did you read that?
No, this is solely
Okay.
separate from everything else. I mean, there's no comparison.
In terms of the nature of the robberies themselves, the fact that these guys have been able to get away and how they've been able to get away, what does that tell you in terms of their familiarity with those neighborhoods?
Well, I mean,
they live in those neighborhoods.
it's wide open. I mean, there's potential that they could reside in those apartment complexes. Possibly they live in the subdivisions that's directly behind it, or there could be a vehicle involved that they have parked a little further down the street. We don't know. And that's why we're seeking information from the community or anybody that may have witnessed or anything and can give us any assistance with it.
I know you already went over it, but can you kind of just go over the basic details of the robberies again?
So starting off again on Sunday, leading up until Tuesday evening, probably within a 48-hour range, we've had an increase in robberies per person, which was about 7, totaled out of 7 at this point, all with Latino male victims involving. And the suspect information that we received is very, very minimal at this time, but again, the numbers go from a team of 2 up to 4.
And what was, you said it's up to 7, this is the increase. What is like the, before that, is like maybe 1 or 2, is this per week or?
Well, I mean, it could be anything. I mean, it could be none, it could be 1. And once we see one, more than 1, for us, we consider it to be a trend. So we're definitely going to focus in and targeting on that a lot more so. But, we give all our cases the same initial regard and everything, but when we see more, we want to make sure that we are at that location to find out what's going on and why is this opportunity and people taking advantage of it at this point.
Is that across the Eastway Division or like in a specific way?
No, it's in a specific area which is called Response Area 3 of the Eastway Division.
What maybe street area is that?
The corridor would be Central Avenue and North Sharon Avenue, but the location is going to be mainly Spanish Quarter Circle, which is an apartment complex.
Armed robberies, any serious injuries in these cases?
At this point, we've had 1 case where there was serious injury, where a gentleman was actually hospitalized due to a stabbing, and that's the only one that we had a stabbing on.
And you said you don't have a lot of details on what the suspects look like.
No, ma'am, not at this point that we're able to put out. Yeah.
How violent have they been? How dangerous are they?
Again, I think it's a crime of opportunity, and when they see somebody in this opportunity, they're going to get whatever property they have on them, and then they move on. Like I just mentioned, the only one that we saw actual violent tendencies to injure or harm someone was the one where the gentleman was actually stabbed.
Are they carrying guns or?
Yes.
Yeah, an answer. We're going to get him back to work. Needless to say, there's a lot of work to do out there. Follow up with the PIO email address, and we'll shoot back those numbers as far as those 7 incidents go. Thank you, Captain.